The first thing my father ever said to me that day wasn't shouted. It wasn't emotional. Didn't even sound angry. It was calm. Detached. You were a mistake. And you're being selfish now. That was it. 26 years of calling him Dad. And that single sentence erased all of it. My name is Sydney, and up until that moment, I believed the worst thing my family could do to me was pretend I didn't exist. I was wrong, because ignoring someone hurts, but using them breaks something deeper. Just hours earlier, I was standing in the middle of a hospital lobby, while my mother tore my medical records apart with her bare hands. Paper ripped. Ink scattered. Privacy shredded. "You're letting your sister die," she screamed, loud enough for strangers to stop walking. Nurses froze mid-step. A security guard looked away, and I stood there silent, while fragments of my life fluttered across the tile like debris after an explosion. They said this was love. They said this was family. They said sacrifice was what good daughters did. But what they never said, what they never wanted me to realize, was that my entire existence had been conditional. I wasn't born to be loved. I was kept to be useful. And that realization didn't come in a dramatic moment. It came slowly, painfully, as the truth started lining up with memories I had spent years explaining away. Behind the glass wall of my sister's hospital room, Vera lay propped up against white pillows. Weak, pale, still watching, still smirking. Chemotherapy had taken her hair, but not her entitlement. Our eyes met for a fraction of a second, and in that look I saw it clearly. She wasn't afraid. She was waiting. Waiting for me to fold. Waiting for me to comply. Waiting for the role I had always played. The backup plan. The spare part. I bent down and picked up a few scraps of the shredded paperwork, not because I felt guilty, but because those papers were proof. Proof of dates. Proof of tests. Proof of facts my family preferred to replace with pressure. My mother leaned closer. Lowering her voice like that somehow made the accusation holy. "We gave you everything," she hissed. "And this is how you repay us?" I stood up slowly and met her eyes. "You gave me what you expected to collect later." For the first time, she didn't have an answer. The silence didn't calm her. It enraged her. "You're killing her," she screamed again. But this time I didn't flinch. Because I finally understood something that terrified me and freed me at the same time. This was never about saving Vera. It was about control. I turned and walked away from that lobby while dozens of eyes followed my back. No one stopped her. No one defended me. No one asked a single question. That's the cruelest part of public humiliation. It doesn't just shame you. It isolates you. At the end of the corridor, the digital clock above the elevator read 10:42 a.m. I remember the time because that was the exact moment I realized this. My family didn't want my consent. They wanted my obedience. I sat alone near the consultation wing and opened an email I'd been avoiding for months. National Donor Registry, confidential results. The message was clinical, cold, unemotional. No biological compatibility detected. Not partial. Not close. Not even remotely viable. I had taken the test quietly before anyone demanded it, back when I still believed staying silent might keep the peace. I forwarded the email to the attending physician. Then I added one more recipient. My lawyer. Because something told me this wasn't just emotional manipulation. It was about to become something far uglier. I stared at my name at the bottom of the screen. Just my name. Not sister. Not daughter. Just me. And for the first time in my life that felt powerful. That's when my father appeared in the doorway. No yelling. No raised voice. Just presence. "You're a selfish mistake." He said it the way people comment on the weather, flat, unquestioned, final. And somehow that hurt more than the screaming ever could. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I stepped around him like he was furniture. Because oxygen mattered more than approval now. By the time I reached the parking garage, my chest was tight, but my thoughts were sharp. This wasn't about refusal. It was about truth. And they had built their entire narrative on the assumption that I would never challenge it. They were wrong. And they were about to find out. If you've ever felt like your existence came with conditions, comment below what would you have done in my place. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, because this is only the beginning. 2 hours later my phone buzzed. Need to clarify an inconsistency in your file. Can you come in today? The message was polite, professional, but the subtext was sharp, threatening, calculated. I felt my stomach tighten like a fist. I typed back, on my way. By the time I entered Dr. Holstrom's office, the fluorescent lights made the polished floor gleam like a stage. He sat behind a wide oak desk, hands folded over a manila folder like it held a trap. Miss Hale, he said, voice low, measured. Before we go any further, I need to confirm something. When was your last genetic screening? October. 6 months ago. I had the results. Right there. All clinical, all definitive. He nodded, tapping the monitor slowly. Then he turned it toward me. 2 charts appeared side by side. One mine. One Vera's. Color-coded markers should have overlapped perfectly. They didn't. Not even a little. Not a fraction. You are not biologically related, he said finally. 6 words. That shattered 30 years of life into pieces I didn't know I had left. I stared at the screen. Stared at him. Stared at the blank walls. Waiting for something. A laugh, a disclaimer, a correction. Nothing. Silence hummed like electricity. I said it out loud. My voice trembling only slightly. I'm adopted. He exhaled. Slowly. Carefully. As if bracing for my next reaction. The data confirms it. We ran it twice to be certain. Relief? Anger? Neither. What I felt was something darker. Betrayal. Realization. The world I thought I knew built on lies. Every dismissive glance from my parents. Every, you don't need to know this comment. Every subtle manipulation, every feigned affection, it all clicked. I wasn't a daughter. I was a policy. An asset to be used when convenient. And they never intended to tell me. I sat there frozen. The weight of 3 decades pressing down like concrete. Finally, I said, voice controlled, alien even to me. I'll need documentation. Everything. Holstrom nodded. All of it, printed and notarized. And Sydney, you have the right to speak to legal counsel. What happened here, what was withheld, is a violation of every ethical line we follow. My hands gripped the folder like a lifeline. Every page, every stamp, every note was now my armor. Outside the office, the hospital felt different. Louder. Harsher. Nurses passed by like waves, voices overlapping. Children's laughter, announcements, elevator dings. It all felt wrong. Like a world continuing when mine had just detonated. I stopped by the east corridor window, staring at the parking lot. Cars glinting in the sun. Lives moving forward as though nothing had shifted. I pressed my forehead against the glass. Whispered to myself. It was never about saving her. It was about control. About leverage. About keeping me on the hook for a debt I never owed. That's when I made my choice. They thought silence would be my default. They thought the game was theirs to play. They were wrong. I returned to the hospital media room, where Coraline's live ceremony for Vera was still running. Lights flickered over empty chairs, cameras slowly panning, capturing a story in which I didn't exist. I didn't storm in. I didn't yell. I didn't demand attention. I walked in ready. Security hesitated, unsure. I clipped my badge, showing the clearance I had earned long before they tried to erase me. I'm here to speak, I said. Calm. Clear. Unstoppable. No one moved me. No one could. I set the manila folder on the podium, opened it slowly, deliberately. Every handout, every document, every piece of proof I had collected over the past 6 months laid bare before the room. My name is Sydney Hale, I began, steady enough to cut through the chaos. You didn't hear it today, but it matters. Every word, every page, proves something they tried to hide. I held up the first sheet. National Donor Registry results, stamped and dated. This proves I am not a match to Vera Hale. Next page. Forged consent forms, filed under my name without my knowledge. And finally, I tapped the folder for emphasis. This is evidence my mother received these results months ago and hid them from every doctor involved. The room shifted. A ripple cut across the floor. Cameras swiveling, lights flashing. I am adopted, I said plainly, holding their gaze. And this entire process was built on lies. Not care. Not concern. Control. Gasps. Whispers. A few audible curses. Coraline's composure snapped in real time. She stumbled forward, voice sharp, words aimed to slice. This is vengeance. She's unstable. I didn't flinch. No emotion. No apologies. No fear. This, I said, tapping the documents, is not vengeance. This is documentation. Evidence you cannot deny. And evidence the world will now see. The room erupted. Cameras capturing every second. Coraline crumpled under the weight of her own lies. Security lunged to stop her, but I had already stepped down from the podium, folder in hand, each heel striking the tile like gunfire. By the time I hit the sunlit pavement outside, my hands were steady. My mind was steady. My heart was steady. The truth was no longer hidden. And now the world would witness it. Comment below if you've ever been silenced or erased, and how you found the courage to speak. And if this story is gripping you, hit like. It really helps share these stories of quiet strength. The next morning, the city felt different. Not brighter. Not quieter. But heavier. Like the air itself had been waiting for someone to speak. I held my phone in my hand, Lorelei on the other end, ready. Send it all, I said. Every file. Every timestamp. Every photo. Press first. Then legal. She exhaled sharply. You just blew the roof off, Sid. Good. Let them choke on daylight. Within hours, every forged signature, every concealed medical record, every piece of proof of manipulation was in the hands of attorneys and journalists alike. The story wouldn't fizzle. It couldn't. The weight of truth was too heavy, too precise, too undeniable. The hospital's ethics board scrambled. Coraline's veneer cracked with every new inquiry. The press snapped photos of stunned staff, statements from experts confirming the ethical violations. Vera, the pawn at the center of their performance, was discharged quietly. No fanfare. No Instagram sermons. Just a small bed, a small room, and the truth finally free. For me, there was no victory lap. No applause. I sat on my balcony, coffee black, city stretching below like a living mosaic. And for the first time in years I breathed. Really breathed. Because the truth belonged to me. 2 weeks later, a message lit my screen. Sydney, can we meet? Just us, please. There I went. Not for forgiveness. Not for closure. Just confirmation. She sat on a hospital bench, hoodie pulled tight, socks still hospital-issued, posture wary. I approached slowly. She didn't look up at first. Then finally her voice, flat, quiet, spilled out. They only kept you around in case I needed something. One day. It landed like frost. Cold, weightless, unavoidable. But I had already known deep down. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't angry. I was free. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she added. Good. Neither am I thought. No screaming. No dramatic exit. Just two people, finally admitting the truth of what blood never made. Family doesn't always equal loyalty. The next day, I filed the paperwork to legally change my name. Sydney Hale. Not Coraline's daughter. Not Vera's sister. Mine. By choice. Later I opened the mail. A small envelope unmarked. Inside, a note in slanted handwriting. Hi, Sydney. I saw your story. I'm adopted too. I didn't know I could say no either. Thank you for showing me I can. You gave me something I didn't know I was allowed to have: choice. No signature. No pomp. Just proof. Proof that standing up, speaking your truth, and reclaiming your life can ripple further than you ever imagine. I didn't need applause. I didn't need acknowledgement. The silence of my family, the collapse of their narrative, and the certainty of my own identity, that was enough. And for anyone watching this feeling erased, dismissed, or manipulated by the people who should have protected you, your worth is not negotiable. Your voice is not too loud. And you are never alone. Tell me in the comments. What truth would you speak if fear wasn't holding your tongue? Because maybe, just maybe, your story is the one someone else needs to breathe again. And if you believe stories like this matter, subscribe. Stay. Be part of a space where silence isn't survival anymore. It's a choice you never have to make again.